Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today, we're in North Atlantic Ship Repair's dry dock number 3 at the former Philadelphia Navy Yard. We're at the port side of the bilge keel. And over here, where the paint has recently been blasted off the hull, we've got some great examples of some of the pitting in the steel. Relatively new steel, like this section of bilge keel right here, that was welded on around 1987, is still relatively smooth. However, some of this original shell plating up here that has been with the ship since day one is over 80 years old. You can see that there is a significant amount of pitting in that. The pitting is an example of corrosion, and thanks to some archival information that the late Richard Landgraf sent the museum years ago that we've finally managed to go through, we've got some information on when this pitting likely occurred. Battleship New Jersey was reactivated in 1982 with the intention that she would be about 2 or 3 years between her next yard period. In the 1984-1985 time period when she was next supposed to go into the yard, Iowa and Missouri were both experiencing delays in their reactivation work. And so they were not reactivated in time, and New Jersey keeps getting shuffled around all over the world to hot spots. This meant that she did not get dry docked again during that time period, and it wasn't until 1987, when both Iowa and Missouri had been reactivated and Wisconsin was undergoing her work, that she was finally brought back into the yard for a long yard period. And quite frankly, Richard Landgraf and the other yard workers were shocked at how severely the hull had corroded during that time period. The biggest issue seems to have been that when they were painting the hull, they painted over the studs for the anodes, which means that the zinc anodes were not in contact with the steel hull. The paint was insulating the hull from the anodes. And so when they take the ship out of the water after 5 years, the anodes were 100% intact. However, because of the cathodic corrosion that the anodes were not preventing, steel had wasted away. The electric charge going through the hull had caused paint to pop off all over the place, and the system of coatings had completely failed, and there was significant rust all over the hull. As that rust bloom was blasted off, what was left behind were these deep pits, necessitating extensive welded repairs, such as what had to happen here along the edge of the bilge keel. Some of the pitting wasted through half of the thickness of the steel plate. If you look up here, you can see the studs for our anodes, which are covered over. If you look over here, you can see that the studs for our new anodes have been both taped over and then wrapped in plastic to prevent paint overspray from getting on them. Our anodes are going to be aluminum. The studs are unpainted, and there will be an unpainted steel washer with a nut cranking it down. And so there will be contact between the steel of the hull and the anode itself, so that the anodes will be what sacrifice themselves instead of the paint and the steel. That will extend the life of both the system of coatings and the shell plating of the ship. The corrosion was bad enough that the Navy decided to install an impressed current cathodic protection system on the Iowa-class battleships. They measured New Jersey for it and installed it on the other battleships as they came into port. But New Jersey never got hers because the next time she was dry docked in 1990, she was being deactivated. And so we keep an impressed current system in her berth instead of on the ship itself. The good news is that the system of coatings from 1990 were completely covering all of the pits. We didn't see any wastage of that coating that led to further pitting, which means that the hull has not corroded any further since 1987. And it means that a good system of coatings and the existing cathodic protection that the ship uses will be sufficient to maintain her for at least the next 30 years until we come back to dry dock. If you want to inspect this pitting for yourself, remember that we're doing dry dock tours. We're sold out except for the last 2 weekends in May. So get your tickets now before you lose your chance entirely. There's a link in the description below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, subscribing so more people find out about the ship and our channel. Thanks for watching.